Katte. Dharwad Katte is an online platform dedicated to organizing lecture series in the field of literary and cultural studies. It organizes lectures in Kannada and English, as you know. And our initiative of making of world theatre and revisiting Shakespeare theatre, which we started in the mid-July, will be an extensive effort to bring dramatists, theatre activists, drama practitioners, and researchers together. We came across for the last 2 weeks, we have been listening to different professors from different universities, artists, dramatists. Last week, we listened to Professor Rajendra Chenny, who spoke about Macbeth, the making of a tyrant. Today, that is the second talk in the series, where we are going to listen to Professor Basavaraj P. Donur, who is going to talk about politics, rhetoric, and willpower in Julius Caesar. A brief introduction to Professor Basavaraj P. Donur. Professor Basavaraj P. Donur uh, is head of the Department of English in the Central University of Karnataka, Dean, School of Humanities and Languages, and he has been officiating as registrar since January 2021 in the Central University of Karnataka. His area of specialization is post-colonialism, translation studies, drama and theatre studies, and Karnataka studies. He has received many awards, including Hosadri Award, a Best Inspiring Teacher Award from Central University, Amma Award from Matoshri Mahadevamma Foundation. He has received Kalaburgi Rajyotsava Award for his poetry publication Kangalabara. And Professor Donur is a professor in the Department of English in Central University of Karnataka. He has served in Karnataka Arts College, Dharwad, Karnataka University, Dharwad, as assistant professor. He has offered his services in state Akka Mahadevi State Women's University, Bijapur, as well as Central University of Karnataka. He has been a dean in the Central University of Karnataka in the School of Humanities and Languages. He has many awards to his credit, as well as he has been serving as member in different board of studies in different universities. He was controller of examination in the Indira Gandhi Central Tribal University, Amarkantak, Madhya Pradesh. And he has written many novels, poetry publications, plays, as well as criticism-related books. His introduction is too big, and so I think instead of going into the details, I would rather request Professor Basavaraj P. Donur to guide us on the today's topic through his delivering today's topic: politics, rhetoric, willpower, and Julius Caesar. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rohit Joshi. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Please.
Viewers of Dharwad Katte and Dr. Prakash Malikai, Vijay Lakshmi Dan Reddy, Rohit Joshi, and all the executive members of Dharwad Katte, and my dear viewers, good evening to you. My friend Professor Amit Kumar was to participate in today's program and speak on the play The Tempest. For some technical and genuine reasons, he couldn't make it. So I'm here. I have been asked to speak on William Shakespeare's play, Julius Caesar. Politics, rhetoric, and willpower. I have not divided my lecture into 3 parts. In my maybe 50 minutes or 60 minutes presentation, I'll be touching upon these 3 very important dimensions of the play, Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar has been my very favorite play for the last 3 to 4 decades, ever since I read it for the first time in 1990s. And I have my own reasons to like this play and read this play and reread and talk and keep talking on this play. Anybody who reads this play will definitely like the play. And this is also one of the most popular plays by William Shakespeare. And Julius Caesar is regarded as the greatest historical political play ever written in any language. I'll be talking about the nature of politics as Shakespeare understood and as he presented in his play Julius Caesar. The plot of this play is historical, but the nature of the play is political. And the contemporary relevance of this play is amazing and startling as well. Man is basically, people say man is, Aristotle said man is social animal. But I say man is basically a political animal. Whether he is social animal or not, but he is definitely a political animal. And politics matters in the human world, and it directs and controls most human actions. What I mean by this is, everything that I do, everything that you do is politically driven. All our acts, all our actions, all our speeches, all our writings are basically and fundamentally political. Even religion can be political. Strictly speaking, religion can also be political. Spiritualism can also be political. In other words, I should say all human endeavors, all human pursuits, all human actions, including art, literature, culture, etc., are political in nature. So I said politics matters in the human world, and it controls and directs all human, or at least most human actions. Politics need not be completely negative and detrimental to human world. It can be amazingly positive, and it can contribute significantly for the growth of human life and human society. So we attribute different meanings to politics. So politics is like a weapon. Politics is like a weapon, and weapon is neutral. It all depends upon the person who uses this power. So politics can be neutral, and its results depends upon the intention of a person who wields it, who has the power. Politics operates in all human pursuits and endeavors, and the same can be examined in the context of the play Julius Caesar. And power politics, we have we spent a lot of our time, energy in speaking on and about power politics. So power politics can be more dangerous, and it can be more violent too. Rising to the seat of power is the ultimate aim of every power seeker or every power monger. I describe this as power politics. Don't think that only politicians have this ambition. Anybody can have this. Anybody who wants to power and who wants to access power. But remember, in any institution, in any state, in any country, you can't have too many power centers. You can have too many power centers, but the seat of power is one and the is only one. So there could be many contenders for the power of seat, and in the process of power acquisition, the contenders try to eliminate each other. Of the many contenders who are equal in strength and dignity, only one makes it. And when he sits on the seat of power, the others start indulging in unethical acts to get rid of him. This is what exactly happens in Julius Caesar. So this is the problem with the human beings. We don't want a single person to come to power or to exercise power. It's not that he is going to act against us. It's not that he is going to create problems for us, because we do not want him to have this absolute power which I don't have. This is the problem with especially Cassius and Casca, including Brutus in the play. I will be talking about this a little while later. And about Shakespeare, about Shakespeare and his genius and his talent, I don't have to say anything. You all know it. I only say that it is not possible to imagine a world without Shakespeare. His plays have traveled across the globe since they were composed 400 years ago, inviting those who see and read his works to make the plays their own. This is very, very interesting. If you read Macbeth or King Lear, any play for that matter, when you read the play, you think that it is your play. You own it. You get emotionally connected with the play. You become part of it. Either you think you are the writer yourself, or you identify yourself with the character of the play. You identify with the actions of the play. That's why this is the reason why I say that Shakespeare has a lot of contemporary value and significance. Those who read and watch his plays think that they belong only to them, and they literally own them and feel they are the ones who wrote those plays, and they are the ones who lived all that the characters in Shakespeare's plays feel and experience. Such is the influence of Shakespeare on the readers, audiences, theatre practitioners of the last 400 years, 4 centuries. Julius Caesar is a Roman historical play, and about politics. In next 3 to 4 minutes, I will discuss 2 important critics who talk about the nature of politics in Julius Caesar. Then I will directly deal with the play. There is a critic called Phillips. For Phillips, the play Julius Caesar is a vindication of absolute monarchy represented by Caesar against the claims of a constitutional system represented by Brutus, with Rome as the actual hero of the play. He makes an interesting observation. Phillips, what he says is, this play is a vindication of absolute monarchy, which Caesar represents, and the claims of a constitutional system, which Brutus represents, and with Rome as the actual hero of the play. The hero of this play is neither Caesar nor Brutus, but Rome itself. Rome becomes a character in this play. That's very, very interesting. From the beginning till end, it's Rome that dominates the play. All actions. Murder is also committed in the name of Rome. Brutus and others kill Caesar to protect Rome, and then Mark Antony provokes the Romans to kill the murders of Caesar, again for the sake of Rome. It is for the Rome that the people fight. And Shakespeare, Philip maintains allows the two principles of principles to clash. There are two principles in the play which clash with each other. One, absolute monarchy. Second, claims of a constitutional system, democracy and anti-democracy, like that. So the conspirators, led by Cassius in the beginning, later by Brutus, state or assume that there is a great threat to democracy. Romans love democracy, and there is a great threat to it, and this threat has to be eliminated. So Shakespeare allows the two principles to clash and shows the peace and prosperity of Caesar's role and the chaos and discard which follows Brutus's mistaken attempt to oppose it. This is also an interesting remark. So there was peace and prosperity when Caesar was alive. There was peace in Rome, and there was prosperity in Rome when Caesar was alive. But what happened after his death was, his death led to chaos, disorder, violence, murder, political murders, and so on. As against Phillips, or in support of Phillips, there is one more critic who argues, Whitaker. Similarly, the play is a defense of absolutism, with Brutus as the tragic hero who led astray by his self-righteousness and his impractical, muddled head. I draw your attention to two phrases that he has used in his statement. One, his self-righteousness. I have my own reservations about Brutus. It is very difficult, at least for me, to consider Brutus as the tragic hero. I would rather vote for Caesar, not to Brutus. So he says, for his self-righteousness and his impractical and muddled head, falls into the tragic error of opposing the political principle ordained by God. I don't want to talk about the monarchy and how God created monarchy and all that. I don't want to get into those kinds of philosophies. Yes, and both the views are oversimplifications, because Caesar is not a king. Caesar has never been a king, at least in the context of this play. Okay, when the play begins, Caesar returns from the battlefield, where he defeated the sons of Pompey, his arch-rival. So Pompey the Great was also the Roman general, and Caesar was also Roman general. He was never a king. So the question of kingship doesn't arise in the context of this play. So Caesar is not a king, and that at no place in the play does Shakespeare call him king. Shakespeare doesn't call him a king at all in this play. So it is a play about a great general who aspires to be the king and who is murdered on the eve of his success. When Antony makes his funeral speech, he refers to it, how he refused the crown offered to him thrice. So he never became a king. One must dispose also of the notion that Brutus is muddle-headed. He's not muddle-headed. He was very clear what he was doing. The charge of illogic stems largely from Brutus's soliloquy in his Orchard, in which he justifies his attempt against Caesar. So there is a soliloquy in his Orchard. He speaks to himself, and he finds reasons for joining the conspirators to murder Julius Caesar. But this speech is not only logical, it focuses upon the basic problem of the play, the usurpation of power. Caesar must be destroyed, as Brutus sees it. not because he has been a tyrant, but because he aspires to unlawful power. This is the whole issue, according to some critics. Brutus kills Caesar, or Brutus joins the conspirators to murder to murder Caesar, not because he became a tyrant, but because he was aspiring to unlawful power. That's why I had to kill, and I killed him. So I just read out a few lines from his soliloquy, which he speaks in his Orchard. But it is a common proof, Brutus says, but it is a common proof that lowliness is young ambition's ladder. Lowliness is young ambition's ladder, whereto the climber upward turns his face. But when he once attains the upmost round, he then unto the ladder turns his back. He talks about the movement of a tyrant, a person who comes to power. Okay. And when he comes to power, he turns his back to the people. So, looks in the clouds, scorning the base degrees by which he did ascend. So Caesar may. This is his logic. Given a chance, given an opportunity, or if he is not checked, he will come to power, he will rise to power, he will acquire power, he will become an acquire absolute power, and he may become tyrant, and he may not care for us, so he should be killed. This is no logic at all. This is no logic at all. You cannot punish a man thinking that he may commit some crime. No legal system will support this argument. You cannot arrest a person thinking that he is going to steal, or he is going to commit some crime. So how could Brutus murder Caesar thinking that he might become a tyrant? So now I will directly go to the play and try to explain political issues and how does Shakespeare use rhetoric as a means to convince the people this side or that side, and also willpower. Caesar dies not because he fails in his calculation. Of course, he fails in calculation, and he also fails in assessing his own friends. He does not know that the people with whom he's sitting, with whom he spends his time, are the ones who are making plot to assassinate him. This is not just the problem with Julius Caesar. It can be a problem with you, with me, and with anybody. We think that we are very safe in the hands of our friends, which is not always true. Your friends can be your worst enemies. Your best friends can be sometimes your worst enemies. Who knows? Okay, so this politics. I said in the beginning that the play has a lot of contemporary value and significance. If you just change the names, it becomes a modern play, 21st century political play. It's not just a historical play. It's historical political play. And this is what we are doing today. So when the play begins, Caesar the Great, or he returns from the victory at a battlefield where he defeated the sons of deceased Roman General Pompey, his rival. People gather in a big number on the streets of Rome to celebrate his victory, which the tribunes, oppose. Look at the Flavius, what he says in the beginning of the play. This is the first dialogue spoken in the play. Flavius, hence home, people have gathered in a big number on the street And common people have gathered, like carpenters, cobblers, okay, ordinary people have gathered. And Flavius is trying to drive them away. Why should you be coming on the street on the working day, leaving out your work? He asks him questions. So Flavius tells, hence, home, you idle creatures, get you home. You go back to your houses. Why should you come here? Is this a holiday? He asks them. Is it a holiday? Why have you come? What? Know you not? You don't know that it is not a holiday? Being mechanical, you ought not walk upon a laboring day. Laboring day means working day. It's a working day. It's not a holiday. Why should you come on the street? What are you doing without the sign of your profession? You are not carrying the signs of your profession. So he pointing at one person, he asks, "Speak. What trade art thou? What is your profession?" And he's a carpenter. He says, "Why, sir? A carpenter. I'm a carpenter, sir." Then where is thy leather apron and thy rule? Where is your dress? You are not. You are neatly dressed. You are not dressed. Your professional dress. You are not wearing. Where is your leather? If you are a carpenter, you should be wearing a leather apron. Where is it? Where is thy rule? Thy rule? What dost thou with best apparel on? So why are you wearing good dress today? You are dressed. You are very neatly dressed. Tell me why should you be doing that? Oh, you, sir, what trade are you? He asks another person. And he says, "Truly, sir, in respect of a fine workman, I am but, as you would say, I'm a cobbler, sir." Then what trade art thou? Answer me directly. What do you mean? Cobbler means what? The cobbler makes an interesting statement. He says, "A trade, sir. Cobbler is also a trade. It's a profession, sir, that I hope I may use with a safe conscience, which is indeed, sir, a mender of bad souls." So Shakespeare plays upon the word soul, S-O-L-E and S-O-U-L. He says, "I'm a mender of bad souls. I repair bad souls." And he's upset because he thinks that he's referring to his soul, S-O-U-L, soul, like that. So this is the beginning of the play. So if you win election, suppose you win election, and your supporters will take you in procession, don't think all people will like you. So in the crowd, there could be few people who may be planning or who may be making some plot against your life. You do not know. And Caesar thinks that everybody who has gathered on the street is appreciating him and is joyfully celebrating his victory and so on, which is not true. So people work against him from the beginning. From the beginning. Then Flavius tells his friend, they're all supporters of Cassius. Cassius is the leader. It's no matter, let no images be hung with Caesar's trophies. In India, it's quite common, destroying the statues of leaders. I don't want to name them. They destroy statues. And Flavius says, let no images be hung with the Caesar's trophies. You remove them, tearing up posters, right? And destroying posters, blackening posters, and removing posters, dishonoring posters, and destroying, statues is also part of political game. And it has its own history. Don't think that only our people are doing it. It has a history. It has a history of thousands of years. I will about and drive away the vulgar from the streets. He calls them vulgars. People have gathered on the street. I will send them back. So do you too. You also do the same. Where you pursue them thick. If there is a thick cloud, If you see people coming in a big group, you send them away, drive them away. These growing feathers plucked from Caesar's wing will make him fly an ordinary pitch. Who else would soar above the view of men and keep us all in servile fearfulness? They all fear. uh, this is not the real fear. This is not the real fear, because in the play, Shakespeare does not say anywhere that Julius Caesar is really very ambitious and is very violent. So Caesar is not at all violent in the play. Now, about willpower, I'll speak for about willpower for a few minutes. The problem with Julius Caesar is willpower. He thinks that what he says is correct, and he thinks that what he does correct, and he knows everything, he knows everybody, he knows politics, and he's very strong, and nobody can touch him. So this is his problem. And every right-thinking man, this is the problem of every right-thinking man, and this is the problem of every great man who is on the right path. It's not enough. If you are on the right path, it does not mean that you will have no opposition at all. We should not think that since we are on the right path, nobody will touch us. When you are on the right path, the chances of people hurting you are more than when you are on the wrong path. So Caesar, when he's going in procession, somebody takes his name, Caesar. Somebody shouts, taking his name. Then Brutus asks, "Who is he?" Then Caesar asks, "Who is he?" Brutus says, "A soothsayer bids you beware of the ideas of March." Ideas of March means March 15th. March 15th. It refers to the first new moon of a given month, which usually fell between 13th and 15th. This is ideas of March, not ideas. IDES. So a soothsayer warns Caesar. He alerts Caesar, "You should be careful about 15th March. Beware of the ideas of March." Caesar says, "Set him before me, let him see his face." Then Cassius, "Fellow, come from the throng. Look upon Caesar." What says you thou to me? Speak once again." Caesar asks him, "What did you say?" Soothsayer says, "Beware the ideas of March. Be careful about March 15th. To which Caesar responds, "He's a dreamer. Let us leave him pass. Let us go. He's a dreamer, and let us leave him to his fate. Let us not take a serious note of it. Why should I be careful about March 15th? Can anybody do anything to me?" So he goes. So this is a warning. This is a warning. And this is my conviction that what we call fate doesn't hit us all of a sudden. Or what we call fate doesn't attack us all of a sudden. It gives some signals, some warnings. Even when our health fails, our health does not fail all of a sudden. Even heart attack, it doesn't happen all of a sudden. There are signals. So health gives us signals. So headache means it's a signal, and we ignore it. We ignore it. Fever, we ignore it. Then we'll get into trouble. We'll get into trouble. So these signals are very important. So the right man is one who catches such signals and takes precaution. The problem with us, we are very, very, we are very proud of our own health and our own strength and our own capacity. So he ignores this. Then Cassius, Casca, Cinna, and Flavius. There are 7 to 8 people. They think that they should murder Caesar. Why they should murder Caesar? Because if Caesar comes to power, and he's very popular, he may come to power, he may be declared as a king. Once he becomes the king, then we all lose our importance. We become his slave. We should not allow him to acquire the absolute power. And how to check him? There is only way to get rid of him is to murder him. And Cassius is very cunning in this play, very cunning, and very, very negative in his attitude and approach. And he knows that if he commits murder, people may not accept it. People may grow in rebellion, may rise in rebellion against me and get me killed. So I should take the help of Brutus, because Brutus enjoys the faith of the people. People have a lot of faith in the Brutus, and he's a statesman, he's a philosopher, he's a right man, and his track record is good. If he's with us, then we can murder Caesar and win the confidence of the people. And this is what is rhetoric. Shakespeare uses it very heavily in this play. And when Brutus is talking to Cassius, people shout, and Brutus is disturbed, and he asks why the people are shouting. So he asks, what means this shouting? I do fear the people choose Caesar for their king. Even Brutus also does not want Julius Caesar to become the king. When he hears the shout, he asks, what for? What for people are shouting? And he says, I do fear the people choose Caesar for their king. I wonder if people chose Caesar for their king. To which Cassius responds, yeah, do you fear it? Then must I think you would not have it so. If you really fear, look at what Cassius says. If you really fear, then don't ever allow Caesar to acquire power to become the king of Rome. Then Brutus, he prepares Brutus to murder Caesar. And Cassius tells Brutus, in what way, you please tell me in what way he is superior to you. Look at what Cassius says. I was born free as Caesar, so were you. We all were born free, you and me and Caesar. So we both have fed as well, and we can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. We can tolerate winter's cold as much as he can. For once upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled, Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, "Dayest thou, Cassius? Now leap in with me into the angry flood and swim to Endor Point." He tells him how, Cassius and Caesar swam across the mighty river Tiber some years ago. He challenged me, and I also jumped into water, and he could not swim as much as I did. Then he struggled, and he asked for help. So how do you say that this man is more powerful than you and me? He says. And Cassius tries to convince Brutus that Caesar is not a very great man. He's an ordinary man. He further says, Brutus and Caesar. He compares Brutus and Caesar. Who should be in that Caesar? What should be in that Caesar? Why do you say that Caesar is great? What is greatness about him? What great thing he has in him? Why should that name be sounded more than yours? Why that name, Caesar's name, be sounded more than yours? Write them together. Write them together. Yours is as fair a name. If I write your name, Caesar's name together, yours is as a fair a name. Sound them, read them aloud. It doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them, it is heavy. Your name is heavy. If you weigh it, your name is heavy. Conjure with them, Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. Now, in the names of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth this our great Caesar feed, that he is grown so great? Then he says, there is no greatness about him. He is a very simple man, very ordinary man. And people have projected him to be very great general, warrior, and so on, which he is not. And he begins to think about Rome. I have very little time with me. It's already 6:45. It's a long speech. Anyway, let me see. Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods. And he grieves. He expresses his depression. Oh my God, this country, Rome, has lost all good people. Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods. And when went there by an ace, it's a long speech, I don't read. Then, yes, Caesar is, Brutus is convinced. Brutus is convinced. Then, this Cassius is a very schemy man, very cunning man. And all the means that we use today, like writing anonymous letters, okay, and he does it. He did it in 3rd century BC itself. What he does, he gets some anonymous letters written and get them dropped in his study, in his library through the windows. And when Brutus goes to his study room in the evening, he reads, he chances upon one anonymous letter and he reads. And what is written in the anonymous letter is, Brutus, thou sleepest, awake and see thyself. Shall Rome, etc., speak, strike, and redress? Brutus, thou sleepest, awake. Such instigations have been often dropped. And he tells, such letters I have read a lot in the past, and they only urge that I should take the lead. And at the end, he is convinced. He is convinced, and they make the plan to murder him. Then Cassius says, "Let us not murder Caesar alone. Let us kill Antonio too." Mark Antony, because he is very close friend of Caesar. If he is not killed, if he survives, he may create some problem for us. Let us end all our enemies. Then Brutus says, we are conspirators, not butchers. Our intention is not to, kill series of people. We should not do that. Let us be sacrificers. Let us be sacrificers, but not butchers. Cassius. That's what he says. And, we cannot be very cunning. We cannot be very cunning, and we cannot kill everybody thinking that they would rise, in protest against us. They would protest against us. So this is one part of the play. Now, for 5 minutes, I'll be talking about the willpower of Julius Caesar. I must discuss one important scene in a very short time. So, Julius Caesar has a lot of faith in his own powers, in his own conviction and his understanding of the world, and he thinks he knows politics better, which is not true. And California, who sees a bad dream in the previous night, tells her husband not to stir, not to go to the capital today. And she says, "You shall not stir out of your house today, my lord. Don't go, because I saw a very bad dream yesterday. It's night time. Just she She woke up from he also woke up and came and asked her what the matter was. And she said she saw a bad dream. Then Caesar says, Caesar shall forth. In the beginning, the organizers showed us a speech, Mark Antony's speech, And Caesar shall forth, Caesar says, Caesar shall go. The things that threatened me never looked but on my back. You're talking about things, These things, will look only at my back. They cannot see me. They can look only at my back. When they shall see the face of Caesar, they are vanished. These bad things, when they see the face of the Caesar, they are vanished. They disappear. See, name any danger thing, I am more dangerous than that. Name any danger thing, I am more dangerous than that. Then Calpurnia says, Caesar, I never stood on ceremonies, and yet now they fright me. There is one within. She, I request her husband not to go to the capital, not to go to the Senate. I fear. But Caesar says, Caesar shall go forth, for these predictions are to the world in general as to Caesar. You say that you saw a bad dream, in your dream, this happened, that happened. It's okay. It's not applicable entirely to me. It's applicable to everybody. These predictions are to the world in general as to Caesar. Why do you think that they are applicable only to me? Something bad is going to happen to me. Then Calpurnia says, when beggars die, there are not comets seen. When beggars die, you don't see comets in the sky. The heavens themselves blaze forth the death of princes. When the princes die, when kings die, the skies, blaze forth. There will be big fire in the sky if a king dies, if a prince die. So please understand and give importance to what I'm saying to you. Then Caesar says, cowards die many a time. Cowards die many times before their death. Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. The valiant never taste of death but once. A cowardice will die many a time before he actually dies. But a brave man, a valiant, will taste death only once in his life. Then he speaks, he makes a very brilliant observation. Of all the wonders that I have ever heard, it seems to me most strange that men should fear, seeing that death, a necessary end, will come when it will come. The meaning is, I don't know why men really fear death. Why should men really fear death? Death is a necessary end. Death will come, whether you like it or not, whether you welcome it or not. It will come, and it will come when it will come. It will come when it will come. You can neither advance it nor postpone it. Death is something which is neither advanced nor postponed. It will come exactly at the right time. When it should come, it will come. So why men fear? He says, I don't understand why men fear death. We have Basavaraj saying the same thing, no? Naale bappudu namaginde barli, indu bappudu namagile barli. What is to come tomorrow, come today. What is to come today, come right now. Who is afraid of this? Who is afraid of this? So this is willpower. And I don't see there is a big difference between the end of the manner in which Basavaraj killed, and Caesar killed, and the end of Basavaraj. So then Caesar again says, I'm talking about his willpower, how it can be dangerous. How it can be dangerous. And a lot of great people, I tell you, a lot of brave people lose their lives because of this excessive faith in their own strength. Okay? And they try to do something and lose their lives. So Caesar says, the gods do this in shame of cowardice, Caesar should be a beast without a heart. What is Caesar? Caesar is a beast, is a wild animal without a heart, without a heart. If he should stay at home today for fear, he asked his wife, can you expect your husband? How do you think that your husband, very brave, very valiant, and who is like a beast without a heart, to stay at home today, listening to you? No, Caesar shall not. Look at his willpower. No, Caesar shall not. Caesar shall go forth. Caesar shall go forth. He will go to the capital. Danger knows full well. It talks about danger. Danger knows full well that Caesar is more dangerous than he. Caesar knows very well that danger knows very well that Caesar is more dangerous than he. We were two lions littered in one day. We had two brothers born on the same day. And I the elder, and more terrible, and I the elder, more terrible, and Caesar shall go forth. So he goes. Again, on the way, look at his willpower. You call his willpower, or you call his arrogance. Caesar, the soothsayer meets him on his way to the capital. And when he sees the soothsayer, tells him the ideas of March have come. You alerted me. You asked me to be careful on 15th of March. See what has happened. I'm still alive. Nothing has happened to me. Today is 15th March. The 15th March has come today. And the soothsayer gives a very wise answer, which he is not able to understand. Yeah, Caesar, but not gone. Caesar, yes, 15th March has started now. It has not ended. Yes, sir. Yeah, Caesar, but not gone. It's still there. So he goes to the capital, and we all know that he gets killed. And the last person to kill him is his friend Brutus. Then he says, et tu Brute, then falls Caesar. He dies. Then this Cinna, Casca, Cassius, they all shout at the top of their voice, liberty, freedom, tyranny is dead. Tyranny is dead. Now we got our freedom, we got our liberty. Run hence, proclaim, cry it about the streets. Please go to all the streets of Rome and declare that the tyrant is killed, the tyranny is eliminated, ended, and we got our freedom and our liberty back. This is what they say. Then another, Prakash, I can take another at least 15 minutes. In fact, I need another 1 full hour, but give me at least 10 to 15 minutes. Yes. Then, yes, Caesar is killed. Caesar is killed. Now, famous funeral speeches begin. And Brutus doesn't want to kill Antonio. But Cassius is more politically, he knows politics better than Brutus, because Brutus is fundamentally and basically is a statesman. He's not a politician. He's a statesman, and he's a philosopher. But Cassius, Cinna, Casca, they are Paka politicians, pure politicians. They say that Antonio should also be killed. Then Brutus doesn't accept this. Then he tells Mark Antony after the death of Caesar, Mark Antony, here, take your Caesar's body. You take his body. You shall not in your funeral speech blame us. I alert you, you can deliver a funeral speech, but in your speech, you should not blame us. But speak all good you can devise of Caesar. I don't have any problem if you praise Caesar to the sky. Use all the adjectives you know or you find in the English dictionary to describe his personality. You can do so. I don't have any problem. But you are not supposed to blame us. Don't speak ill of us in your presentation. And say you do it by our permission. You tell the people, You tell the people, you tell the public that you have our permission to speak. That is the biggest mistake that Brutus is committing. Had Brutus not given a chance to Mark Antony to speak on the to speak or to deliver his funeral speech, the people would not have protested against Brutus, Cinna, and Casca and killed them. Tables are turned when when Brutus gives a chance to Caesar, Mark Antony to speak. Else shall you not have any hand at all about his funeral. If you don't agree to what I say, then I will not allow you to participate in the funeral procession. And you shall speak in the same pulpit whereto I am going after my speech is ended. You are to speak after I deliver my speech. You extend. You start where I end. That is again the second mistake that he commits. Then he makes his speech. It's a long speech. I read out only 3 to 4 lines. He also begins, be patient till the last. He tells the people, I am going to tell you, I am going to explain the whole thing to you, why we have murdered. Yes, we have murdered Caesar, and we will explain to you the reasons why we had to murder him. Be patient till the end. From the beginning till the end of my speech, please have patience. Then he speaks, Romans, countrymen, and lovers, hear me for my cause. Hear me for my cause, and be silent that you may hear. Because it's a lot of people have gathered and there is some disturbances. You please have patience. If you are silent, so then only you can hear me. Believe me for my honor, and have respect. And have respect to my honor, that you may believe. Then he says 2 statements I read out. Censor me in your wisdom and awake your senses, that you may be the better judge. If there be any in this assembly, if there is any person in this assembly, in this gathering, he tells people, my dear friend of Caesar's, to him I say that Brutus's love to Caesar was no less than this. Meaning, if anybody in this gathering, if anybody stands up and say that you love Caesar, I tell you that my love for Caesar is no less than yours. I love as much as you can love. Then he makes a very, very famous statement, often quoted statement. And if then that friend demand why Brutus rose against Caesar, this is my answer. In that case, why I stood against him, why I rose against him, if you ask me this question, here is my answer to you. Not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. This is first our very politically driven speech. And if anybody who wants to be a politician must read Julius Caesar, Okay? And he says, it's not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. Then people are convinced. You can read this speech all by yourself. People are convinced, yes, they are just in murdering Caesar. Caesar became ambitious, and Caesar wanted to have absolute power for himself. And he became a threat to democracy, and people would lose their freedom of expression and liberty, etc. And all Romans would be enslaved, and Romans do not want to be enslaved. Romans love democracy. Democracy is very close to their heart. Yes, convinced. People convinced, silent, and they're all going away. You have seen in the beginning of this program how Mark Antony, it turns, tables are turned when he begins to make his speech. He literally catches hold of a person and tells him, stay back, listen to me. This is this at least this one speech, a part of speech I should read. I will take another. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. He says, I came here to bury Caesar, not to praise him. He's convincing. A very powerful, very convincing political speech that he is delivering. You can understand the importance and significance of rhetoric in the life of a politician. For that matter, in life of any communicator. He says, I have come here to bury Caesar, not to praise him. Listen to me. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. I don't agree to this. He says the good things that people do, the evil that they do lives after them. The good things are they are buried with their dead bodies like that. So let it be with Caesar. It's all right. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. Look at his logic, power of argument. The noble Brutus, there is sarcasm in it. There is irony in it. A man who murders a very popular man, how can he be noble? The noble Brutus hath told. Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it was so, it was a grievous fault. Well, if he was ambitious, it was his fault, and he should have been killed, and he was killed. It's all right. I don't worry. And grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man, so are they all honorable men. The people who have murdered are all honorable men. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious. And Brutus is an honorable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? And he explains how Caesar was kind, considerate, how he used to love people, and whatever wealth he collected from the battlefield, he shared with his people. He explains, when that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. When you cried, he wept. Ambition should be made of a sterner stuff. What you call ambition is made of a sterner stuff. A man who is ambitious cannot cry. I think Shakespeare has not seen today's politicians. There are politicians in our country who cry, who always cry in all public speeches. So this is politics of cry, politics of tears, kannirina rajkiya, politics of tears. We can discuss it if required. So ambition is made of a sterner stuff. But Caesar, who could cry when people cried, how could he be ambitious? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal, I thrice presented him the kingly crown. You were the eyewitness. On the Lupercal, I only, with my own hands, I offered the crown thrice to him, but which he did thrice refuse. I offered him thrice, and all the times he refused to accept it. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious. And sure, he is an honorable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? He provokes. You all used to love him. Now you are not doing it. What prevented you from mourning for his death? You are not crying for his death. Oh, judgment. He appeals to the sense of judgment. Or judgment is personified. Oh, judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts. Judgment, you have gone to brutish beasts. And men have lost their reason. Men have lost their reason. Bear with me. Prakash, you please
Yes.
tell me.
Yes.
All right. Yes. The last two lines. You must see it. He says, "My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pass till it come back to me. he tells people, it is a long speech, I think 5 minute speech, very powerful speech. He has to use his muscle power. He has to raise his voice, and he has to make use of all his speech organs to deliver this speech. And he feels tired, and he needs rest, but he cannot take rest. Then he logically makes the point. He says, "My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar. No, I don't have my heart in me. My heart has left me. It is lying with Caesar in his coffin. I must pass. I must take a break till it comes back to me." Then he makes. I don't have time to refer to other 2-3 his funeral speeches, and the rest is history. And then Mark Antony succeeds. And he uses his rhetoric. He uses his knowledge of politics, and he's also politician. And at one point, he just he takes the mantle, the apron, the dress of Caesar, and shows it to people. Look at the holes that the people have done. The conspirators have made, and pointing to one big hole, he tells people, "This is the most unkindest cut of all." Who made this on the dress of Julius Caesar? The big one, the bigger one, the biggest hole on his body was made by Brutus, and he describes it as the most unkindest cut of all. He breaks the grammar, the rules of grammar, uses two superlative degrees in a single sentence. This is the most unkindest cut of all. Then he tells people, if you believe me, if you trust me, if you are convinced of what I have tried to explain to you, then you rise in mutiny. Kill them, chase them, follow them, and take the revenge. If you love Caesar, this is what you should be doing. And this is...
ಅದೈತೆ ಸರ್, ನನಗೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕನ್ಫರ್ಮ್ ಅದೇನು ಅಪ್ರೂವಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ 19 ಅಂತ.
So then people rise in revolt against Brutus and others, Cinna, Casca, Cassius, and they catch hold of them, and there are small fights and big fights and battles, and all the conspirators were killed. But Brutus, at the end of the play, he is not killed by the enemies. In fact, he's one of the conspirators, not conspirators. One of his trusted men tells him, "Fly, my lord. There is no tarrying here. You don't have protection here. You go to some safe place." Then Brutus says, "No, I don't want to go anywhere. Caesar should end his own life. Brutus should end his own life." He says, "Farewell to you." He bids farewell to his friends. "Farewell to you, and you, Voluminous, Strato. Thou hast been all this while asleep. Farewell to thee too, Strato. Countrymen, my heart doth joy, and yet in all my life I have found no man but he was true to me. I shall have glory by this losing day more than Octavius and Mark Antony by this vile conquest shall attain unto." So fare you well at once, for Brutus's tongue hath almost ended his life's history. Night hangs upon mine eyes, my bones would rest, that have but labor to attain the hour. What he does, he tells his servant to hold a weapon in his hand, and he runs against it and dies. "Hence I will follow. I pray thee, Strato, stay thou by the Lord." Please, he tells Strato, "You please stay by me. Thou art a fellow of a great respect. Thy life hath had some match of honor in it. Hold then my sword." He gives his sword. "You hold it and turn away your face, because you can't see me dying. So you hold like this. You hold sword in your hand, turn your face like this. I will come running and dash against this sword, and it will enter into my stomach. Then I will die." This is the manner in which he wants to die, and exactly he dies like this. While I do run upon it, wilt thou strato? Then Mark Antony, at the end of the play, gives the greatest tribute to Brutus. He gives him a clear chit. We talk about clean chit, no, not clear, clean chit. He gives him a clean chit. This was the noblest Roman of them all. Of all the conspirators, the Brutus was the noblest Roman them of all. All the conspirators, save except only he, did that they did in envy of great Caesar. All the conspirators killed Caesar because they envied his power, they envied his popularity, they envied his rapid growth, except Brutus. And Brutus was misled. He was misled. So he was convinced. He thought that Caesar was was against Rome. So for the sake of Rome, he killed. He was right when he said, "It's not that I love Caesar less, but I love Rome more." Is not a political statement. It's not a political gimmick. It's not a politically driven logical argument. This is what he really meant. I really loved country. So in every country, you will have some people who really truly love. Everybody who says that I love my country may love or may not love. But certainly there are some people who really love their own country. And common good to all made one of them. His life was gentle, and the element so mixed in him that nature might stand up and say to all the world, this was a man. He says, I hope and trust, I believe that the whole nature will stand up and declare to the whole world, this was a man, a real man, a genuine man. So the play comes to an end. I just take 2 minutes to conclude my this 1 hour long presentation. So Julius Caesar is a major play by William Shakespeare. It is a historical play. It's a political play. It's a Roman play. It's a Roman historical political play. And Caesar's death is political murder, which leads to a series of political murders in the play. And the play has answers to most of our questions. And the people who are in power, the real people, not everybody who comes to power is good. Not every person who gets killed is a hero. It's not like that. We should not come to the conclusion that all political deaths are wrong. This logic doesn't work. But when somebody comes to power, any power for that matter, there will be people who work against you, and who do not leave any stone unturned to project you as a bad man, and who use all wrong means, immoral means to work against you and to go for character assassination. And if nothing works out, then they can also try to kill you and eliminate you. So I'm very happy that I'm able to read Shakespeare and understand his plays. I'm very happy that I'm an English teacher and I can read Shakespeare. I can teach Shakespeare to my students. With these observations, I thank the viewers and I thank all the members of Darwin Katte for asking me to deliver a lecture on Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for this beautiful and detailed presentation. It was a really insightful and valuable observations that had come from your side. Now I declare that the forum is open for discussions. If you have any questions, suggestions, or notes, you can speak. You can unmute and speak. And If there are no suggestions or if there are no questions,
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir Mahendra here. Sir,
Mahendra, good
it
evening.
was a very insightful lecture listened to after a very long time. And your observations on rhetoric, politics, and will was commendable. And I just had a question, sir. I have seen in the Greco-Roman tradition people speaking a lot about free will and destiny, and it was really good to listen to you about free will of Julius Caesar. And I just want to know about the destiny, sir. What role did the destiny play in Julius Caesar's life? And I have one more question, sir. Um, it is with regard to Antony's speech at the funeral. I have listened to some critics speaking about Antony, who suddenly after Brutus murders Caesar, just escaping from the site, and what made him to come back and deliver a funeral speech when Caesar passed away during, his cremation. I just had two questions in this regard. Thank you very much, sir. It was a very good lecture I listened to. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mahendra. In fact, I must admit that Mahendra is my source of inspiration. He is the one who provides me secondary sources. Even for this speech, also he sent me 6-7 essays or 1 or 2 books. Thank you, Mahendra. And my answer to your first question is, what do we call destiny, fate plays its own role in the life of Julius Caesar. And Caesar did not have patience to understand how fate operates, how destiny operates in a human being, because he has an excessive, he has a great deal of faith in his own power and his own willpower and so on. And I can give you, I have already discussed in 1 minute, I give you two instances. And Calpurnia, when she tells him not to go to the capital, it's not Calpurnia who is telling him. It's his own destiny. It is his own destiny, fate telling him not to go to capital. There is some danger to your life, and he doesn't listen to her. She argues, she requests. Okay, he doesn't care. And he says, "You are, this is an Elizabethan play." All said and done, he says, "Can a powerful, strong, valiant man like Caesar listen to his wife, who is a woman, and take the decision not to go to the capital?" He asks her. This is one. And second, soothsayer is also fate. Fate comes in the form of soothsayer. Beware of ideas of March. Why did he tell him you should be careful on 15th March? Then he says he's a dreamer. Suspend him. Let's go pass, he says. And next day, on the 15th of March itself, when he was going to capital, he meets him on the way, and Caesar asks him sarcastically, you are a great man. You told me to be careful about 15th March. Today's 15th March. What has happened? Then he says, 15th March. Yeah, Caesar, they have come, but not gone. They are not gone. 15th March is still there. It doesn't care. And one more instance, which I didn't discuss. And this Portia, Brutus's wife, and she comes to know that her husband had joined the conspirators to murder. She sends a letter, an anonymous letter with her servant to Caesar. You go and hand over the letter to him. And this man goes, he runs, he goes running to the place where Caesar is standing and tries to give him the letter. Then the boy says, "Sir, this letter has something very important to say to you. It is about you. Please, you accept it." Then Caesar says, says, let me first attend the work which is not about me. What concerns me will be served at last, he says. What concerns me will be served at the letter. And had he received the letter, things would have been different. So it plays its fate plays an important role in his life. Your second question, Mahendra, I've forgotten. Just draw my attention. Mahendra, what is your second question?
Sir, it is with regard to the speech of Antony.
I got it. Yes. So, Mark Antony, it's very difficult to say anything very. It's very difficult to say anything very definitely about Mark Antony's relationship with Julius Caesar. From the play, we can make out that they are good friends, and Mark Antony has a lot of personal respect for Julius Caesar. I think Mark Antony also takes the advantages of the anarchy and prevailing in Rome at that time, and he uses his linguistic power. He uses his skills, oratory skills, and his logic, his power of arguments to win his case, to win the case. And he also has some kind of political ambition. This is how I read the play. He didn't do it only for the sake of Caesar. He knew very well once the issue was tackled, once the conspirators were murdered, and there would be nobody to lead Romans, and he would be becoming the king of Rome, which he eventually becomes. This is how I look at this situation.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mahendra. Good evening, madam.
Good evening, sir. Congratulations for so informative and so exhaustive lecture on Shakespeare. It was nice to hear after a long time. Just remember the first question of Mahendra. I remembered the quote, and it is from Julius Caesar only, but I don't know who said it. I think it may be Cassius, who tells Brutus, the fault, dear Brutus, is not in our states, sorry, but in ourselves, that we are underlings.
Correct. Cassius says.
Yeah. And what he means that sometimes people have to take steps they think they cannot. And I think it doesn't mean that present fate and human efforts are opposite to each other. So fate, here it tells that we are underlings, nothing is in our hands, and fate is all. That is what I remembered in this context, and just I wanted to share it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions? I think I should head for the vote of thanks. I thank Professor Basavaraj Donur for his wonderful and exhaustive presentation. It was one of its sort of presentation, sir. Thank you very much. I thank all the media persons, all the research scholars, all the people who have helped us with the technical support. And I would like to announce that the next weekend, on Saturday, 30th of July, the another session of Dharwad Katte is going to be with Rupa D, that is IPS officer, who is serving as Inspector General of Police, Home Secretary in Bangalore, and we'll be meeting at 6 p.m. on next Saturday. If there are any other questions, we could go ahead with. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night.